Most people lose long before the battle even begins. Not because they aren't smart, not because they lack potential, but because they cannot control their minds when pressure appears. The truth is brutal. People fall apart not from weakness, but from emotional chaos. And emotional chaos is self-destruction disguised as honesty. Think for a moment. How many times have you seen someone completely right, logical, intelligent, prepared, still lose an argument or a confrontation? They had facts on their side, they had reason, they had every advantage, until emotion stepped in. Their voice cracked, their heartbeat raced, their anger broke through, or maybe they panicked, and the moment they lost composure, they lost everything: respect, credibility, and power. Every confrontation you face in life is a test, not a test of your intelligence, but of your control. The world does not bow to emotion. Power does not respond to noise. Influence does not belong to those who shout, but to those who command themselves first. Can you stay steady when someone challenges you? Can you think clearly when someone attacks your beliefs? Can you hold your ground when every part of your body wants to react emotionally? Because if you can do that, you win. You don't just win arguments, you win respect, trust, dominance, and power. And the moment you master control, the world starts to respond differently to you, because people trust what remains unshaken. Machiavelli, a man who studied power more deeply than most philosophers, understood this truth long ago. He observed kings, generals, and leaders rise and fall, and he discovered a pattern. He wrote, "He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior." He knew that power doesn't belong to the loudest, it belongs to the most controlled. Because when you control yourself, you instantly gain control over the situation. You strip power away from those who try to trigger you. You become untouchable. And that's exactly what you're here for. Not to be average, not to be controlled by noise, not to be emotionally fragile, but to become unshaken. To build a mind that cannot be manipulated, a presence that commands respect without shouting, a level of self-mastery so strong people feel your power before you even speak. Before we move forward, speak this into existence, not as a motivational slogan, but as a personal law. I do not react. I respond with purpose. I stay unshaken. Say it now, out loud, and type it in the comments if you mean it. I stay unshaken. Because after today, your approach to conflict, confrontation, arguments, even life itself will change completely. You're going to learn how to maintain calm under pressure, how to control your body so it doesn't betray you, how to detach emotionally and think with strategy, and how to build a reputation so solid it shields you from pointless conflict before it even begins. And I want you to pay close attention, because nothing in this world is more powerful than a person who does not break under pressure. They don't chase victory, they become victory. Now listen carefully. Most people think arguments are won with words. They aren't. They're won with control. You could have the strongest logic in the world and still lose if your delivery is shaky. Because when people are judging you, they're not focused on your words. They're watching your energy. They're reading micro expressions they don't even know they're reading. They're watching your breathing, your eyes, your movements, your composure. That's why it doesn't matter how much truth you speak. If you look emotionally unstable, you lose. People trust calmness. They follow steadiness. They respect control. Someone speaking slowly, deliberately, calmly is automatically viewed as powerful, even if they say very little. But someone who sounds emotional instantly loses authority, even if they're right. Power isn't about who speaks the most, it's about who controls the frame, and the frame always belongs to the calm presence in the room. This is the foundation of being unshaken. Control isn't about suppressing emotion, it's about commanding it. Weak minds react, strong minds choose. There is a difference between a reaction and a response. A reaction is emotional, chaotic, and uncontrolled. A response is intentional, measured, and strategic. One destroys you, the other builds you. The truth is this: in every confrontation, personal, professional, social, people are not deciding whether your words are correct. They are deciding whether you are in control, because control signals strength, and human nature is wired to trust strength and doubt instability. Let me make this clear. People listen to logic, but they follow composure. Think about the last time you were in a disagreement, maybe at work, maybe at home, maybe online. Did you defend yourself too quickly? Did you feel your heart rate rising? Did you feel the urge to explain, justify, clarify? That urge is emotional weakness disguised as logic. The moment you rush to defend your position, you reveal that you are insecure about it, that you care too much about what the other person thinks. And when people sense you're emotionally invested, they know they can control you. Here is a hard truth many cannot swallow. You don't need to defend yourself to people who don't matter. And to people who do matter, your actions will speak louder than explanations. When you truly understand this, your energy changes. You stop reacting, you stop justifying, you stop needing approval to feel secure. Pause here and absorb this. Power is not earned by trying to convince people. It is earned by controlling yourself when it matters most. It's not what you say, it's how you hold yourself while saying it. If your voice is steady, people assume you're confident. If your eyes stay focused, people assume you know what you're doing. If your breathing is calm, people assume you're not afraid. If your body language is controlled, people assume you're honest. But if any part of you trembles, your voice, your hands, your gaze, people feel it. And when they feel weakness, they test it. This is why Machiavelli said, men judge with their eyes more than their hands, meaning people don't examine who you really are, they judge how you appear. And this is where most people fail. They believe the truth will protect them. No, control protects you, presence protects you, emotional discipline protects you. Truth comes later. The skilled mind knows this. In a confrontation, winning is not about crushing the other person, it's about never being pulled down to their emotional level. The moment you get emotional, you lose positioning. You give control away. You step off your throne and into their arena. And when you do that, they win. But that ends now. From today onward, you will stay centered in every confrontation. You will control the frame. You will hold your position, not through aggression, but through presence. Listen carefully. Presence is power. Say that out loud. Presence is power. When you master your presence, you don't need force, you don't need anger, you don't need to raise your voice. Your composure does the talking. Calmness is not passivity, it's superiority under control. And that is why the most dangerous person in the room is never the loudest. It's the one who does not react, the one who doesn't explain, the one who listens and then responds with precision. From now on, understand this law. Every confrontation is a battle of energy first, words second. Control the energy, and you automatically control the outcome. And now that you understand this, we move deeper, because awareness alone is not enough. You must now train your body to follow your mind, so your body never betrays you again.
Your body reveals you before your words do. You can lie with your mouth, but your body will always tell the truth, especially under pressure. That's why emotional control begins with physical control. If you don't command your body, it will expose fear, insecurity, and emotional weakness before you even speak. In any confrontation, People scan you instantly. Your breathing, your eyes, your hands, your posture, your voice. And just like that, they decide whether you are someone to respect or someone they can walk over. They don't even do it consciously. Human beings are biologically wired to detect weakness and strength through body language. This is why people lose power without realizing why. Their voice shakes, their hands fidget, they speak too fast, their chest rises from shallow breathing, they avoid eye contact. And the moment someone senses this, they push harder. Not because they are smarter, but because they sensed weakness. Weakness invites pressure. Strength shuts it down. But you're not here to invite pressure anymore. You're here to command it. From now on, your body must send one message: I am in control. Let me show you exactly how to do it. The body follows three main signals: breathing, posture, and voice. If you master these three, you control every room you walk into. Ignore them, and even your best arguments will collapse. Let's begin with breathing, the foundation of composure. When people are under stress, their breathing gets quick and shallow. They breathe from the chest. This triggers the brain's fight or flight response, and instantly you lose access to calm thinking. That's why people say stupid things when emotional. The logical part of the brain shuts down. But calm people breathe differently. They breathe slow, deep, and silently, from the diaphragm, not the chest. This forces the brain to stay relaxed. You regain clarity instantly. You must train this. Right now, wherever you are, do this with me. Inhale slowly through your nose for 4 seconds, hold for 2, exhale through your mouth for 6. Do it again. This isn't meditation. This is combat breathing, used by soldiers, negotiators, and people trained to stay calm in high-pressure situations. Use it, and your body will obey you even in conflict. Next, posture. Your posture reveals your mental state before you even speak. Nervous people fidget, shift their weight constantly, hide their hands or cross their arms like they're protecting themselves. Confident people don't need to do any of that. They stand grounded. From now on, feet shoulder-width apart, shoulders loose but not slouched, chin level, not up, not down, level. When seated, sit tall, hands visible, no tapping, no fidgeting. Stillness is power. Stillness tells the world you are in control. And when your body acts calm, your mind has no choice but to follow. Now, your voice. Your voice is a weapon, and most people don't know how to use it. They betray themselves by rushing their words or letting emotions control their tone. But a controlled voice dominates without force. From now on, speak slower, roughly 70% of your normal speed. Keep your tone steady. Don't let your voice spike when emotional. And most importantly, use silence. Most people speak too fast because they fear silence, but silence makes people lean in. Silence forces people to feel your presence. Pause and let people think. That pause will do more damage than a raised voice ever could. Now listen, this isn't about being robotic. It's about being commanding. When you master these 3 physical signals, breathing, posture, voice, you become unreadable, untouchable. People won't know if you're angry, they won't know if you're nervous, they won't know if they got to you. And when they can't read you, they fear you, because people fear what they cannot predict. And here is where your power truly begins, not with fighting back, not with emotional reactions, but with controlled presence. A person who cannot be shaken cannot be controlled. Stay still, stay sharp, stay dangerous. There is a moment in every confrontation when emotions try to take control. Anger rises, ego grows loud, fear creeps in, or pride demands a reaction. And that moment decides everything. Because once emotion takes over, clarity disappears, logic dies, you stop thinking and start reacting. And the person who reacts first is the person who loses. This is why detachment is one of the highest forms of power. Detachment is not coldness. It is not emotional numbness. It is not pretending not to care. Detachment is clarity under fire. It is choosing strategy over emotion. It is the ability to see a situation exactly as it is without the fog of ego or emotional impulse. The greatest weakness people have in confrontation is taking things personally. The moment you take it personally, you give the other person access to your emotions. And once they have access to your emotions, they control you. Your buttons are exposed, and people will press them. Trust me, they will. But here's what the emotionally weak never realize. You are not obligated to feel every emotion that rises inside you. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to step back mentally. You are allowed to observe before you speak. In fact, that is exactly what powerful people do. Because detachment buys time. And in a confrontation, time is control. Time to breathe. Time to judge. Time to decide whether this situation even deserves your energy. So remember this, not everything needs a reaction. Not every attack deserves a defense. Not every insult requires a response. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're in a meeting. You speak your mind respectfully, and someone challenges you aggressively in front of everyone. Most people would get emotional. They'd defend themselves, maybe even raise their voice. And in that moment, they look weak. They took it personally. They let someone pull them into emotional warfare, and they lost. But a detached person responds differently. They pause just a second. They look the person in the eye, calm, present, and they respond with strength, not emotion. Something like, "I hear you. What specifically do you disagree with?" And just like that, you flipped the energy. You didn't react, you redirected. You didn't argue, you took control of the frame. Detachment turns emotional attacks into information. Instead of reacting to what someone says, you examine why they're saying it. Are they threatened? Are they insecure? Are they hiding something? Are they projecting? Are they emotional because you're right? Suddenly, what felt like conflict becomes clarity. You see people for who they really are. You see motives. You see tactics. And because you are no longer emotional, you become dangerous because now you are thinking. This is why Machiavelli said, "A wise man does at once what a fool does finally," meaning fools react. The wise observe, think, and respond only when it serves them. The fool wants to win arguments. The wise want to win outcomes. So from today forward, understand this law. If it threatens your peace, detach. If it pulls emotion from you, pause. If it isn't worth your energy, ignore. If it's a trap, walk away. If it's real, handle it logically. Because detachment is not escape, it is mastery. Now we go deeper, because staying calm is strength, but using calm as leverage, that's strategy. Calmness is not just a shield, it is a weapon. Most people think staying calm is only about emotional control, but they miss its true purpose. Calmness gives you leverage. It silently shifts power in your direction without you needing to raise your voice, argue aggressively, or prove anything to anyone. Chaos reveals character. When tension rises, when emotions explode, when pressure hits, watch the room. Everyone begins to lose discipline. People interrupt each other. Voices rise. Frustration takes over. They speak faster, defend harder, and think less. The energy becomes chaotic. And yet, if in that exact moment you remain calm, everything changes. Instantly, you become the center of gravity in that situation.
People start reacting to you, even without you saying a word. That is the power of controlled presence. Machiavelli understood this deeply. Control doesn't always require force. Sometimes it only requires that you remain the only one who isn't shaken. Power naturally flows to the person who maintains stability. Let me show you how this works in real life.
Imagine two people arguing. One is emotional, animated, and desperate to win. The other is calm, composed, and thinking clearly. Who do people subconsciously trust more? The calm one. Why? Because calmness signals certainty, and human nature is drawn to certainty. It feels like leadership. Calm people win not because they dominate, but because they do not get dragged down. They control the energy of the conversation, and the person who controls the energy controls the direction. The beauty of calm leverage is this: once you master it, you don't need to overpower people. They give you power willingly. Why? Because chaotic minds will always follow the most stable presence in the room. It's instinct. The greatest negotiators, strategists, and leaders understand this. They don't rush. They don't beg to be heard. They don't compete for attention. They command through controlled stillness. Calmness unsettles emotional people because it exposes their lack of control. Your calmness becomes a mirror that shows them their own instability, and they begin to feel inferior without you saying a word. Calmness changes arguments. Instead of escalating tension, it lowers it. Instead of losing control, you shape the direction of the moment. When you speak slowly and calmly, people shut up and listen. When you pause before replying, people feel your words will carry weight. When you hold eye contact without blinking or breaking presence, people realize they can't move you. That is power without aggression. You must understand this. Sometimes silence is the strongest statement. Sometimes delayed reactions are the most strategic move. Sometimes not responding is how you dominate the battlefield. Now listen very carefully. This is how you apply calm leverage. When someone tries to provoke you, do not react. Let them expose themselves. When someone raises their voice, lower yours. They will follow your tone. When someone interrupts, pause. Look at them. Then continue like nothing happened. When someone tries to embarrass you, smile slightly, hold eye contact, speak once, calmly. When conflict begins, slow the entire conversation down by controlling your pace. This isn't weakness. This is psychological warfare done with elegance. Calmness lets you win without fighting. But calmness alone is not enough. You must build something far more permanent, a reputation. One so strong, people will think twice before ever trying you again. One that protects you long before conflict even reaches you. Reputation is power long before you enter the room. A strong reputation protects you more than words, more than arguments, and more than any emotional display ever could. When people already believe you are unshaken, composed, and not easily moved, they treat you differently. They approach you differently. They even speak to you differently. Most people think power is something you show in the moment. They are wrong. Power is built long before the moment arrives. Your reputation walks in before you do, and it either commands respect or invites disrespect. Think about it. You already know people in your life who are easily provoked, the kind of people who overreact, explode emotionally, and cannot handle criticism. You already know exactly how they'll respond under pressure, and because of that, you don't take them seriously. Their emotional reputation makes them weak.
Now think of someone who never loses control, someone who never gets dragged into chaos, someone who doesn't respond emotionally no matter how heated the situation becomes. You feel something different around them, don't you? Something like quiet power, something like, I need to watch how I speak to this person. That's the power of reputation. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. He wrote that it is not enough to be strong, you must appear strong. The world responds to perception, and if your reputation signals discipline, control, and self-mastery, you will be respected even in silence. Here's the truth. Calmness once is impressive. Calmness consistently is unstoppable. Anyone can stay composed once in a while, but when you demonstrate emotional control every time, you become known for it. It becomes your identity. And when something becomes your identity, people adjust around it. When you build a reputation for being mentally disciplined, people stop trying to provoke you. People stop bringing you nonsense and drama. People start choosing their words carefully with you. People treat you like someone who must be respected. And here's where it gets powerful. Your reputation will start defending you even when you're not there. Someone might try to criticize you or lie about you, and others will defend you because they've already seen your character. They'll say, "No, that doesn't sound like them. I've never seen them act like that." They don't lose control, they're solid. Your presence becomes proof. Your track record becomes armor, and your name becomes heavier. But listen carefully. Building this reputation comes at a cost. You must make a non-negotiable decision today. Never again lose control in front of others. Not when provoked, not when attacked, not when someone tries to pull you down. Your emotions are yours, not a public event. Never perform them for the world. Does that mean you should never feel anger, stress, frustration, or pain? No. It means you must learn to process them privately and respond strategically. Emotional reactions are expensive, and powerful people do not overspend. Real control is not built in the big moments. It's built in the small ones. When someone cuts you off in traffic, control. When someone disrespects you subtly, control. When people misunderstand you, control. When people talk about you, control. When you're tempted to explain yourself, control. Every test you pass builds your identity. Every situation you handle with composure builds your fortress, brick by brick, moment by moment, until eventually you stop fighting unnecessary battles altogether. Why? Because conflict will avoid you when it realizes you don't feed it. There will come a time when people know if you challenge this person, come with respect. And that is where true power lives, not in intimidation, not in aggression, but in commanding respect without saying a word. Now, before we go deeper, I want you to affirm this with me right now. My reputation will reflect my discipline. I do not react. I remain in control. Type it. Own it. Because next, we enter the final stage of mental dominance so completely, no one, not critics, not enemies, not manipulators, can ever control you again. The greatest battle you will ever fight is not against other people. It is against your own mind. If you cannot command your thoughts, you cannot command your actions. And if you cannot command your actions, you cannot command your life. Everything begins in the mind. Every victory, every downfall, every moment of strength or weakness, it all starts with thought. This is why Machiavelli believed that the true ruler is the one who rules within first. Control of the mind is control of destiny.
Those who fail to master their own minds become slaves to emotion, to fear, to people, to circumstance, to distraction. But those who train their minds become unstoppable, not because life gets easier, but because they become stronger. Look around you. Most people are mentally chaotic. They let thoughts run wild. They entertain every fear. They replay every insult. They argue in their heads with people who don't matter. They drown themselves in overthinking, and then they wonder why they feel weak, stressed, and lost.
Weakness begins with mental disorder. Power begins with mental discipline. From now on, you must understand this truth. Your mind is a weapon. If you do not sharpen it, it will rust. If you do not control it, others will use it against you. So you must forge your mind with discipline. And how do you do that? You begin by mastering focus. You cannot be mentally strong if your attention is scattered. The world wants to distract you. Notifications, gossip, drama, meaningless arguments, emotional traps. These things are not random. They exist to drain your energy, keep you reactive, and prevent you from building power. Your time is limited. Your focus is precious. Your energy is currency. Stop spending them on things that weaken you. From today onward, you eliminate mental noise. You choose silence over chaos. You choose purpose over distraction. You choose strategy over reaction. Because the person who cannot focus cannot build anything. And the person who cannot direct their own thoughts will always be controlled by someone who can. But focus is not enough. You must also master interpretation. What does that mean? It means the power to control the meaning of what happens to you. Two people can face the same problem, but one collapses and the other rises. Why? Because of interpretation. Weak minds see problems as threats. Strong minds see them as training. Weak minds panic. Strong minds plan. Weak minds complain. Strong minds adjust. This is the mindset of mental dominance. Nothing has power except the power you give it. If someone insults you, it's not an attack, it's information. If someone betrays you, it's not heartbreak, it's revelation. If someone doubts you, it's not disrespect, it's miscalculation. This mindset protects you from emotional attacks because you control the meaning of every situation. Say this with me now and write it in the comments if you're serious about your transformation. Nothing controls me. I control how I think, how I feel, and how I respond. This is mental sovereignty. This is where emotional slavery ends. This is where your transformation becomes permanent. Because here is the final truth. You become untouchable the moment you no longer respond emotionally to external forces. When someone can no longer trigger you, you win. When someone can no longer manipulate you, you win. When life hits you and you move with strategy instead of reaction, you win. Mental mastery does not mean you feel nothing. It means you choose what deserves your emotional energy and what does not. Your emotions become tools, not weapons used against you. This is the final stage of power. Not loud power, not violent power, but calm, controlled, unbreakable power. The kind that lasts, the kind that builds empires, the kind that makes people feel your presence without a single word. And now, we bring everything together. The world will test you. People will try you. Life will challenge you. And when it does, you will not fold. You will not react. You will not break. You will remember who you are becoming, a person who is beyond manipulation, beyond emotional chaos, beyond petty conflict, a person who is unshaken. When you reach this level, you stop living reactively. You stop chasing validation. You stop explaining yourself. You no longer depend on approval to feel at peace. You no longer try to prove your worth to people who can't even see their own. You move with quiet precision because you finally understand that control of self is the highest form of power. From this point on, your composure becomes your armor. Your silence becomes your sword. Your discipline becomes your shield. You don't need to announce your strength. It's seen in how little you're moved by noise. The world will try to test you. It will send you distractions dressed as opportunities. It will bring people who provoke, situations that frustrate, and challenges that tempt you to lose control. That's how it checks whether you truly mastered yourself. But now you know better. When pressure comes, you don't collapse, you observe. You don't react, you calculate. You don't panic, you prepare. Because the one who stays calm in chaos always wins. Machiavelli said, the first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. That wisdom still applies. Look at what surrounds you, your environment, your habits, your conversations. They reflect the quality of your mind. If your life feels noisy, scattered, chaotic, it's not the world's fault. It's your mind's permission. The mind sets the tone for everything around it. So guard it, protect it from negativity, gossip, pointless arguments, people who drain you, and habits that weaken you. Every time you feed your mind chaos, you weaken your fortress. Every time you feed it discipline, focus, and silence, you reinforce it. The goal isn't to escape life's battles. It's to become the kind of person who can walk through them untouched. When someone disrespects you, you don't crumble. When things go wrong, you don't panic. When uncertainty comes, you don't lose your center, because you've trained your mind to remain still, even when the world shakes. And the result? Peace.
And when people ask what changed, tell them simply, I stopped reacting. I started ruling. Because that's how you win, not once, but for life. Now go prove it, because the world is watching, and you are unshaken.